Good afternoon. I'd like to welcome everyone to the regular meeting of the Forsyth County Commissioners on October 17th, 2024. And we're going to begin our meeting today we're very pleased to have Megan Grigg here from the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. Just met her, appreciate her coming in today, and please come forward. And when she finishes, the Pledge of Allegiance will be led by Commissioner McDaniel, and I'd like to ask everyone to stand if you're able. Thank you, Mrs. Grigg.
Father in heaven, how grateful we are to be gathered together today, to be as representatives for our community. How grateful we are for this country that we have to live in, that we can exercise our rights and we can live as free. We're grateful for the opportunity we have to serve. We have to serve our neighbors, our friends, and each other. We're grateful for the blessings that Thou bestows upon us, that pour down from us, and we like to recognize Thy hand in all the good. We're grateful for the rights that we have and to support one another. Father, we ask that we will be attentive to those in need, that we will receive Thy inspiration to help those around us. We ask special blessings over those in our western part of our state, that they may receive the help that they need, a speedy recovery, that we can be Thy hand. We're grateful for all that we have, and we're grateful for one another. And we say these things in the sacred name of Jesus Christ. Amen.
Amen.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Citizens who are interested in participating in the public session portion of the meeting via telephone may do so by calling 336-422-1200, and you'll be placed on hold until the public session begins. And any member of the audience wishing to speak during our public session portion of the meeting, you just need to fill out a speaker card and give it to our clerk at the end of the dais. And the first item on the agenda today is a resolution recognizing October 21st through 25th as Workforce Development Month in Forsyth County. And I'd like to ask Andrea Sheets to come up. She will receive it from the Workforce and Economic Development Administrator, and Commissioner Dan Bessie will read the resolution. You can go down or up, either one, whatever you choose. Yeah, there is. There's a resolution next to the, right there.
This is a resolution recognizing October 21st through 25th, 2024 as Workforce Development Week in Forsyth County, North Carolina. Whereas Forsyth County and Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. have led the organization and coordination of the county's workforce development, including Forsyth Technical Community College, Winston-Salem Forsyth County Schools, and Goodwill Industries of Northwest North Carolina, and created Forsyth Works, utilizing county ARPA funds. Whereas Forsyth Works, the unified hub for workforce development in Forsyth County, offers events and resources year-round for employers and job seekers to grow employment and expand economic opportunities. And whereas Forsyth Works and partner organizations are concentrating on a range of events for students, job seekers, and employers during the week of October 21st through 25th, including the annual World of Work Career Exploration event, the Women of Manufacturing Conference at Forsyth Technical Community College, job seeker preparation sessions, and a community career fair at Goodwill, and a social media show-off campaign. Now, therefore, be it resolved that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby recognizes October 21st through 25th, 2024 as Forsyth County Workforce Development Week and encourages all residents, community organizations, and employers to participate in workforce development initiatives to continue strengthening our local economy and promoting equitable economic growth and opportunity, adopted the 17th day of October 2024, and I so move.
Second that motion. All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Thank you.
Thank you for your work. Appreciate it.
And Andrea, you're welcome to say a word or two if you'd like to.
And if the partners want to join Andrea at the podium, that would be
Please
great.
do. All the partners come, we'll get a picture.
Please, you all are
We'll
doing
get
this
a
work
picture.
every day, please. Thank you, commissioners, and thank you all of our partners for being here and the work you do all other 51 weeks out of the year. The idea of what would become Forsyth Works came years ago when extremely talented county leadership thought about the great work that our schools, community college, economic development organization, and Goodwill and NC Works do every day and try to envision what could happen if we formally brought it together. And the events of Workforce Development Week and the birth of Forsyth Works highlight that result. The remaining 51 weeks out of the year, we are still doing the work. Case managers still work to connect county residents with jobs and training. Our educators are still preparing the next generation. Our economic development team is still bringing jobs here. And we are so, so grateful for your support year-round, and especially next week. It takes a village. These folks behind me and many, many more across our community, who I couldn't name all of them, are working to bring jobs to our residents. And I thank you.
Thank you. And if you all turn around, we'll get Todd to take a picture of you guys. But
As long as you can see Commissioner. Appreciate it.
Thank you very much.
and we'll look forward to going to the Coliseum next week and seeing thousands of young people go through the world of work. That'll be great. So thank you. The next item on the agenda is a proclamation recognizing the Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. as the National Chamber of the Year. And I'd like to ask Vice Chair Wizenhut to read that proclamation and invite Mark Owens and Calvin McCray to come back up and actually receive your recognition. You guys can join Vice Chair Wizenhut.
This proclamation recognizing Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. as National Chamber of the Year. Whereas Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. is a key community organization that influences business services, workforce, and economic development. Whereas Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. has shown impactful results by generating over $810 million in capital investment and 2,357 new jobs since 2020, which provides more opportunities for Forsyth County residents to obtain jobs that pay a living wage. Whereas Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. serves the community's largest business organization, bringing together more than 850 member organizations to network, collaborate, and influence business success. Whereas Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. was recognized as the National Chamber of the Year by the Association of Chamber of Commerce Executives at its annual convention held in Dallas, Texas. Whereas the Chamber of the Year Award is the highest designation in the industry, awarded to chambers which demonstrate organizational strength and make an impact on key community priorities. And whereas Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. has achieved distinction as the top organization of more than 7,500 chambers of commerce in the United States. Now therefore be it proclaimed that the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners hereby congratulate Greater Winston-Salem, Inc. and their Board of Directors, staff, and members of this distinctive accomplishment. This proclamation, 17th day of October 2024, and I move approval.
Second that. All in favor, please raise your right hand. Motion carries unanimously. You guys, thank you.
Thank you. I'm so happy for you. Thank you.
You're welcome to share a few words.
Thank you, Madam Vice Chair, and thank you, Mr. Chair, and commissioners. This is an amazing award for our entire community. It also teaches me to read the agenda ahead of time because Calvin surprised me, and I knew we were here for World of Work. So this is really exciting to share this moment. Those numbers and the things that our vice chair read are not possible without your support. The amazing team and staff members here at Forsyth County that are sitting in the background so many times that work every day. This is a community award, and we're honored to accept this recognition on behalf of our board, our community members, our team members, and all of Forsyth County. So thank you so much for this recognition.
And if I remember correctly, I think I got this down, the other two finalists were Phoenix and the Oklahoma State Chamber?
Yes, sir. Those were the other two finalists, and the previous two winners were Orlando, Florida, and Dallas, Texas. So it feels great for Winston-Salem, Forsyth County to be at that table. And we're not finished yet. Just because we got a great award doesn't mean all this great work is stopping. We're just getting started.
That's good.
Thank you.
Thank you.
We're just Calvin and I are here.
Okay.
Everybody else is working. Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Next item on the agenda is approval of minutes for the meeting of October the 3rd, 2024. Do I have a motion? So moved. Motion by Commissioner Bessie. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Madam Clerk, do we have any callers or speaker cards?
Mr. Chairman, we have one caller and we have one person here to speak.
All right, maybe we can just do the caller first.
Sure.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you for calling the Forsyth County Board of Commissioners Public Session Line. Please state your name and address for the record.
Hi, my name is Olivia Doyle, 112 West Devonshire Street.
Thank you. Speakers will be limited to 3 minutes each. You may begin.
Great. So, yes, my name is Olivia. I'm the head of a local advocacy group called Hate Out of Winston. And I wanted to voice a couple of questions that have come up as myself and some other community members have been pushing the city to invest less in policing and more in our care infrastructure, specifically in the BEAR team. So I'll pose these questions here for the general public to also hear and think about, and then if somebody could direct me to the appropriate person within the county government to ask, I will follow up via email. So to start off, the first question we had was, how often is County 911 dispatching the BEAR team, which is the city's behavioral evaluation and response team, and or the MIH, which is the county's mobile integrated healthcare, and in which cases is county dispatch refusing to send either of them? I ask this because we have talked with the BEAR director a couple of times, and it seems like she's trying to get the county 911 dispatch trained on referring to BEAR, but that's not, that might not be happening yet. So we're just wondering where that disparity is coming in. Two, how many of the BEAR clients out of any either city or county dispatch which are referred to county health and human services partners have successfully followed through on the referral? A couple people have been asking for the data on that basically demonstrates what the relationship is between the county's emergency BEAR service or the city's emergency BEAR service and the county's long-term follow-up services for mental health and substance use. So we're just asking about some of the data for that. Three, how does the County Commission plan to further integrate BEAR into its existing emergency services infrastructure? If this is something that County Commission does, is it something that a different department within the county does? And given the county's track record of disinvesting in majority Black and low-income neighborhoods, how does its partner providers make their services accessible to Black and low-income residents? I'm asking this in reference to conversations that I've had with a couple of unhoused organizers who are in Winston, who have said that some of the county services, the referral services like Daymark, for example, are inaccessible to people that are extremely low income or people that are unhoused, because they require clients to stabilize their own physical health conditions before they can access those services. And you can't do that when you're unhoused. You don't have access to a regular like food supply, for example. And then finally, a question that I personally had in reference to the school system. Why is the county still paying so much and the county commission is still approving SRO contracts through WSPD, SCSO, or KPD when that money could be going to BEAR, MIH, mentors within the school system, translators, culturally competent counselors? I mean, there's so many other, it seems like, care infrastructure and criminalization prevention that this contract money could be going to, and yet every year we see these contracts renewed. And I'm also speaking to this as somebody who is a substitute teacher through the county. I often am called in by other teachers to do offhand translation just because they can't get access to a translator, but they need to communicate with their students' parents about a behavioral issue or, anything really. So I'm just kind of wondering who is making these financial decisions on the county's behalf. I have a clearer understanding of what's happening in the city. So if we could just get some follow up on these questions, that'd be great.
Yeah, Mrs. Doyle, can you hear me?
Sort of.
Okay, so sort of. This is Don Martin. I thank you for your call, and we do have your number. In fact, we'll be able to get back with you on that. Our person, Denise Price, our deputy county manager, works with that. We'll get back with you on that. Thank you.
Great. Thank you so much.
Our next speaker is Marcy West. Please come forward, state your name and address for the record, please.
Hi, Commissioners. Thank you. Marcy West, 331 Carolina Circle, also a candidate for County Commission. I'm here to speak against approval of the current reappraisal information that's in the packet. There are two different issues that were brought up by a resident, Brent Coles, a couple of weeks ago. And I still have not seen that actually in a way that is transparent, which is what I think we need to have for our residents. So the first item that he brought up was that there are different classifications of housing, yet we have one base amount. So $144 per square foot is what's being proposed, regardless of which type of housing you have. But we have 10 different classes of housing. They're very detailed in this. And it makes much more sense to have that be very transparent to the residents, where they would see one rate that goes with each one of those, and then it would be adjusted up and down. So I have no doubt that that's being done properly by the appraisers, but it should be something that's transparent for the people who are the users so that the residents can see that. The other thing that was concerning to me was the fact that they're taking sales from 2023 and subtracting out land values from 2021. So the difference in those 2 years has been pretty significant in terms of pricing. And so it makes sense to have those two be the same so that you're getting the same, you don't have different areas where different types of land may have gone up by a different amount across different things. It makes it unbalanced. And really, it's a good accounting practice and principle to have, if you're taking one value and you're subtracting something out, you use the same year to do that. So those are the two things I wanted to say. I'm sure that everything's being done properly in terms of the appraisals, but really it's needed in terms of being transparent to the residents. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, that's all of the speakers.
All righty. Ready to turn the meeting over to County Manager Robinson.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, and good afternoon, Commissioners, staff, and guests. The agenda items before you have been briefed twice and hopefully questions answered. Agenda item number 5 is an amendment to the fiscal year 25 budget ordinance to appropriate fund balance for performance management incentives at Tanglewood Park. This item appropriates $75,925 in fund balance into the motor vehicle and mobile equipment replacement subfund.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut, second. Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 6 is an amendment to the 2016 Schools Facilities Capital Projects Ordinance for East Forsyth High School. The school board approved a guaranteed maximum price for East Forsyth High project of $29,936,552. This agenda item is necessary to reallocate funds for the East Forsyth High School project. Additionally, the school system is requesting $20,662,847.75 of the additional capacity of two-third bonds that were issued to be allocated to this project.
I'll be happy to make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 7 is a resolution authorizing acceptance of a grant from the GlaxoSmithKline Foundation for the Forsyth County Department of Public Health in an associated amendment to the FY25 budget ordinance to appropriate funds from the GlaxoSmithKline Foundation. This is an amount of $10,000 grant to support the Growing Together after-school gardening program for elementary students.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
A motion by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? We have a second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? Yes.
Just confirming, as I recall, the gardens themselves are at Miller Park and at Old Town Rec Centers. Is that correct?
Yes, that is correct.
All right, thank you.
All righty. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 8 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement between Financial Pathways of the Piedmont, Inc. to provide mortgage assistance using American Rescue Plan Act funds. This is a no-cost extension through December 31st, 2025. The original agreement is in the amount of $344,000 to provide financial counseling.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 9 is a resolution awarding a contract to Professional Air Systems LLC for the Law Enforcement Detention Center laundry heater replacement project in an amount not to exceed $82,496.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel and Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? Second by Commissioner Wilson. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 10 is a resolution awarding a contract to Hughes Environmental, Inc. for the Department of Social Services duct cleaning project in an amount not to exceed $87,000.
Is there a motion? Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 11 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Schneider Geospatial LLC to provide a web-based property information application. This is a contract for the tax office through June 30th, 2027, in a total not to exceed amount of $72,592.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut. A second.
Second.
Second by Commissioner McDaniel. Discussion.
Just a question. Please remind us when you anticipate that the new application will be in effect?
Good afternoon, Commissioners. Great question. It would be before the 2025 reappraisal values are issued, and it's our hope to have it as soon as we can.
Thank you.
Any other questions? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 12 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Overdrive Digital, Inc. for the library system in an amount not to exceed $128,960.14.
Move to approve.
Motion by Commissioner McDaniel,
Second.
second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 13 is a resolution authorizing a contract with Forsyth County Public Library and Online Computer Library Center, Inc. in an amount not to exceed $52,623.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Be happy to second that. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 14 is a resolution awarding a contract for creative media services for the Forsyth County Sheriff's Office to Hunter D. Laughlin. This contract is through June 30th, 2027, in an amount not to exceed $204,747.32.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Have a second by Commissioner Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Madam Manager, Commissioner Shea Woodbury is on the line. We'll see if we can get her to recognize. Commissioner Woodbury, can you hear us? You'll need to unmute. She just dropped.
Okay. Thank you. Agenda item number 15 is a resolution awarding a contract for the purchase of law enforcement uniform garments and associated services to Reed's Uniforms, LLC. This contract is through June 30th, 2027, in an amount not to exceed $593,920.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 16 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement between Forsyth County and the state of North Carolina on behalf of its Department of Agriculture and Consumer Services for forest services. The Forsyth County share of this payment is $84,455.
Is there a motion?
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner Linville.
Second.
Second by Commissioner Bessie. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 17 is a resolution authorizing an amendment to the agreement with Capital Marketing Solutions, LLC, Alpha Graphics of Downtown Raleigh, to provide ballot printing services for the November 5th, 2024 general election. 64,800 of 208,100 ballots needed to be reprinted due to the withdrawal of Robert F. Kennedy Jr.'s president's candidacy. The additional cost is $16,082.74, which brings the new contract amount to $113,627.58.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 18 is a resolution awarding a contract for the Department of Social Services re-roofing project. This agenda item rejects Bar Roofing and Maintenance LLC's bid as non-responsive due to failing to make a good faith MWBE effort, and awards the contract to WX Tite LLC in a total amount not to exceed $1,428,400.
Is there a motion?
So moved.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut, second by Commissioner Bessie. I understand that Commissioner Woodbury is on the line, and we'll ask everyone that are in favor, please raise your hand. And Commissioner Woodbury, your vote, please.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 19 is a resolution authorizing execution of a lease agreement between Forsyth County and Addiction Recovery Care Association, Inc. for lease of county-owned property at 5580 Sturmer Park Circle. This is to lease a 2-acre portion of property beginning October 26, 2024, and expiring April 23, 2029, at an annual rent of $1 for the purpose of providing therapeutic and recreational programs related to the treatment and administration of mental health and substance use programs.
Is there a motion?
Move approval.
Motion approved by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? A second by Commissioner Wilson. Any discussion? I just want to clarify that it does include reimbursement for lawn mowing equipment, et cetera.
That is correct.
That's it.
Mr. Chairman, you
Yes.
need to ask for Commissioner Woodbury's vote, please.
I did last time. I'll ask her after we vote here, if that's all
Okay.
right. Any other discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Commissioner Woodbury?
Yes.
Thank you. Motion carries unanimously.
We can take agenda items 20 and 21 together. 20 is a resolution authorizing execution of a lease agreement between Forsyth County and Daymark Recovery Services, Inc. for lease of 1,222 square feet of county-owned real property located at 650 Highland Avenue. And 21 is a short-term lease of 710 square feet of county-owned property at 650 Highland Avenue. Both leases are at a rate of $595 per square foot and will terminate on June 30th, 2025, or 30 days after a certificate of occupancy is issued for their renovated office space within the Highland Avenue Center.
Motion.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel,
Second.
second by Commissioner Linville. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Commissioner Woodbury?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item 22 is a resolution authorizing execution of a landlord's release agreement for county-owned real property located at 5755 Chatelain Drive in favor of Town Bank. ARCA occupies this county-owned property and has negotiated a loan modification with Town Bank and requires this document in order to execute the modification.
We have a motion.
Move to approve.
Motion approved by Commissioner McDaniel. Second.
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. Commissioner Woodbury?
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 23 is a resolution authorizing the grant and execution of an easement to South Carolina Telecommunications Group Holdings, LLC, doing business as SEGRA, to access and construct communication facilities on a 17.08-acre portion of Forsyth County-owned real property located at 1941 Union Cross Road. This will allow AeroX to install fiber optic cable to operate their radar equipment for consideration of $1.
I'd be happy to make that motion. Is there a second?
Second.
Second by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Any discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand. And now Commissioner Woodbury.
Yes.
Motion carries unanimously.
Agenda item number 24 is an order approving and adopting the final 2025 schedules of values, standards, and rules for the reappraisal of real property within Forsyth County at its true value and its present use value. This would allow the tax office to continue with the reappraisal process. We did receive a second opinion about this item from the North Carolina Association of County Commissioners, which we've attached to the agenda item and emailed to you all. There were also some questions about including more details on the actual tax bill, and I'm going to ask our tax assessor, Collector John Burgess, just to come up and briefly talk a little bit about that particular item.
Good afternoon, Commissioners. There was a question about including a property record card out to the public, and we talked about that in the terms of residential properties. There are about 150,500 of those properties in the county, and we've got a quote from our vendor. First of all, we think logistically we can do it, so that's good. The total price would be an additional $25,000, which is about 16 cents per record card. The only thing that I would technically suggest would be not to include that record card in with the bill, because the bill would come out after the appeal window. I would include the record card in with the reappraisal notice that initially goes out, if you want to do that, then that would be, in my opinion, the most appropriate time to do so.
While you're here, we're in public comment, there are 2 comments made, and I'd just like for you to clarify, particularly the issue of the new charts that were added into this particular action today that address the issue of the 57 different housing types, et cetera. Could you just talk about that? And then also as I understand it, the property basis on the assessment of before the subtraction, we actually increased the 21 values by about 35% to actually get to the 23, to everything apples to apples. We did apply a value of the actual property increase across the board before we're actually starting.
Yes, thank you. We did make 2 adjustments to the proposed schedule of values, which was included and attached. And one of those was about the base rate itself and what that applied to. And we clarified that there is one base rate for residential, and then we explained the math behind things for the mobile home properties. So we don't have those different categories per se. We do have different quality grades for properties in the county, and we clarified, that was the second page that we clarified, was we expanded upon the percentage adjustment for each one of those quality grades to match it with a price per square foot, so that it was easier to understand to the public what that is saying per square foot for each one of those quality grades. As far as the issue or the question about the sale prices that we did the final work on, is part of that is not fully being aware of our entire process of what we do. And so that's part of what I was mentioning in last week's presentation, is that we are always testing with updated land rates. We're testing with updated depreciations and time trend factors. So those are taken into account. When we did the initial base rate derivation, which was in March of 2023, we did factor in land price increases over 21 by 35%. And so to be clear about that, that was the initial number we came up with in 23. We again do that process again in 24 for that final rate, which ended up being the $144 per square foot.
Got it. Any further questions for, well, we haven't had a motion yet, but we can discuss, we can go ahead and ask questions. Go ahead.
The question is whether the calculations that you reference with the grade rate adjustments that are made before an appraisal is issued, will those be attached to this motion?
Those 2 pages that were updated are in the item that you're voting on now. Yes.
They're
Very
like
good.
page 197 and 198.
Just wanted to make sure those were in the record.
Yes, they are.
Thank you.
Other questions for John while he's up here?
No, I just wanted to say thank you, John, for including the property into the reappraisal process. So thank you, and not the billing process. Gotcha.
All right. Other questions?
Not of Mr. Burgess at this time. I have
Okay. All right.
something from Ms. Manager.
Okay. You want to do it for after motion or do it now?
No, well, I think I'll do it now. Would you summarize the email that you referenced, that you sent to us, that you had, and where you received it from?
Yes, sir. Let me just real briefly. So I got a second opinion from David Baker, who is a state tax expert. He worked in the state, and now he works for North Carolina Association of County Commissioners as the tax expert for counties. He has over 40 years of property tax experience. I personally spoke with him on Monday. He was sent all of the information from our tax office, as well as the information from the constituent who had asked a lot of questions. He reviewed our process, he reviewed the documents, and essentially he said the way in which we, John and his team have conducted the appraisal process thus far is exactly how he would have done it himself. It's how he has trained individuals to do it. And so he very much was supportive and commended our process. Now, he, of course, is not looking at our, values, the base rate, because he would need to analyze all of that data. But he was confident in our process and confident in the team's ability and stood behind the information that was provided.
Thank you.
All righty. Are we ready for a motion?
Move approval.
Motion to approve by Vice Chair Wizenhut. Is there a second? Second by,
Now I've got some more discussion.
all right, discussion.
Or observations and maybe questions. Either one of the questions I got is for Mr. Burgess or the attorney, whoever, or both. If someone comes up with information that they think might aid the tax office in their value process, if they submit it in writing or either verbally, is that something that the tax office can accept and look at and decide whether it would be of value to the tax office to use? Is that permitted by law to do that?
We're happy to review any information. It's not common for someone to submit information like that ahead of time, but we're happy to review that information and consider it for what it's worth.
Okay. Well, you never know when, or we never know when someone's going to raise a question about anything. And so that's the reason for that. The person that appeared here the other week, I spoke with him yesterday. So, and beyond that, this is my assessment of the tax office. In the past, I don't know how many years, quite a number of years, there's been improvements as we've gone along. And tax collectors and assessors before Mr. Burgess has contributed to that. And Mr. Burgess, he's, I think, taken it to another level. He's recognized by state tax people of being one of the best in the state. So, well, in my opinion, I just know for a fact of what I saw in earlier years that, and others of us, other commissioners have too, that improvements has been made. How many tax parcels is it? Like 140,000, something like that?
About 164,000.
Okay. I better make a note of that because I can't remember all of the numbers. And with the spreadsheet that the tax office sent us just this week, that's, Mr. Martin, you might could remember half of it, but I don't know whether you could remember all of that or not.
I can't remember half of it.
Sometimes when questions are raised, it causes people, particular tax situations, it can cause people to think that there's something that's just not right, or things that are not right. And Mr. Burgess's office, I think, has recognized that with as many things as they do, that it's not going to be exactly perfect. But in the end of all of it, if it's not, if a person thinks it's not, they can appeal it, and they might get relief and they might not. But there is a process. So I'll leave it there. And as far as transparent, if there's things that we can do within reason, then I think we ought to do that. And you do send out information in the tax bills and at the listing time about other things, but there was like, what was it, 30 or 40 pages in the schedule?
It was a lot, yes, sir.
Well, so, and I used the word within reason, so I left, like sometimes the attorney might do, I left a way out. So that's all.
Any other questions for John?
No questions, comment?
Yes, go ahead.
I just wanted to thank the county manager for ensuring that we got that third-party opinion that I'd asked for regarding the competing suggested methodologies. It did come back very positive for our tax office's approach. I want to again thank Mr. Cole for raising good questions that helped us as we went through the process, and I apologize to him that we played telephone tag for several days and never could catch up. So we did try to talk.
All right, we've actually had two things mentioned today. We have on our agenda the approval of the 2025 schedules of values. And that's the first thing we'll take an action on, but we've had additional discussion about including the actual property cards within, as John suggested, the initial notice of appraisal that goes to taxpayers at a cost of $25,000 extra. I would think we take the schedule of values first, and then if we would like to consider the second, we can have a motion and a second for it and have a discussion on that. So I think I see this as a two-action item, the one's on the agenda and the one that's grown out of the discussion about it. So is there a motion on adopting the 2025 schedules of values?
I
We have a
did.
motion.
We've already have.
Oh, did we already do that already?
Yeah.
But we didn't vote. Oh, okay,
We
excuse me.
haven't voted, no.
All right. Okay. Vice Chair Wizenhut and Commissioner Bessie, first and second. All in favor on the 2025 schedule of values? Raise your hand. Motion carries unanimously. Now, second part, do we have a motion to include the property cards actually as a part of the initial appraisal notice to taxpayers, which gives them time before the both informal and formal appeals?
I'll second.
Question?
For residential properties. was
Residential
the-
properties only. All right, and do we have a motion for that?
I move to approve.
Okay, motion from Commissioner McDaniel, second by Commissioner Bessie. Further discussion about that? I probably personally am not in favor of spending $25,000 for that, but if the group desires to, I'm going to vote no, but if the group desires to do that, I certainly understand that. I think we gave out a good bit of information on the initial. You get a sort of a condensed version when you get your notice of reappraisal, but not the detail that's included in the property card. I will acknowledge that. So, any further discussion? All in favor, please raise your hand, please. Those opposed? One no. Motion carries 6-1. Thank you.
Thank you.
All righty, there's no, further business. We are ready to adjourn. So moved. All right. Ready for the briefing for November the 7th. This is the first briefing for November the 7th, 2024.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So these are items for consideration for the November 7th meeting. The first item is a public hearing on the zoning petition of Front Street Wahlberg LLC from AG and GIS to HBS. And then I'll introduce the second one too for you, Mr. Murphy, which is a public hearing on zoning petition of Front Street Wahlberg LLC from AG and GIS to LIS.
Thank you, Madam Manager. Good afternoon, Chair, Vice Chair, Commissioners. This is a request of Front Street to rezone 7.2 acres, piece of property located at the southeast intersection of Wahlberg Road, Hayes Drive, and Union Cross Road from AG and GIS to HBS. This is the subject property shown on the Legacy Growth Management Area Plan. It's currently in Growth Management Area 4, but as the public sewer gets installed as part of the award that the county received from the state for sewer expansion in southeastern Forsyth County, this will become GMA 3. This is the subject property outlined in yellow. It is predominantly AG, but there is a sliver of GIS. That was an old, that portion was on an old driving range. That will, the balance of that property I will talk about in the next case. Subject property outlined in yellow on the countywide aerial imagery. This is across the street from Union Cross Park, commonly referred to as the radar base, and I guess based on the action that we just had in the meeting you just closed, we'll actually have radar out there again. So again, primarily wooded. Portion of it is currently zoned GIS for a now closed driving range. This is the subject property shown on the Southeast Forsyth County Area Plan update. It recognizes this area as a portion of the commercial recreation aforementioned driving range that was closed. It is outlined in blue, and that blue outline, there was a larger tract that was outlined in blue that basically talks about if public sewer is available, that area would be appropriate for industrial development. Again, which ties in closely with the next case that we're going to hear. But again, since public sewer is available out there, this area is recommended for industrial development. This is looking south along Wahlberg Road. The subject property is to the left. You see the zoning sign there on the pole. This is looking north along Wahlberg Road. The subject property is to the right. The traffic signal there is the Hayes, Union Cross, Wahlberg Road intersection. This is looking west along Hayes Drive. The subject property is to the left. So again, that's looking towards the west at that same intersection signalization that we were just talking about at Union Cross, Wahlberg, and Hayes. And this is looking east along Hayes Drive. The subject property is to the right. The project's northern access point into the site would access from Hayes Drive approximately in this location to get into that convenience store. This is the site plan. Again, a convenience store with several, what I would call probably residential scale pump area there in front of the convenience store, and a larger truck area for fuel kind of to the southwest, closest to the future industrial area if it is approved. This is just the criteria for CETA approval. This is in the watershed. This would exceed the base amount of impervious surface that's allowed. So as part of this rezoning request for both this case and the case that we'll hear, I'll brief in a minute. There are some provisions related to special intense development allocation, which does allow, that's the acronym for CETA, does allow for a certain percentage of your overall jurisdiction to go up to 70% impervious with stormwater controls, and that's what they're asking for here. This information is contained in your staff report, and it does kind of lay out the criteria for approval and our comments regarding the approval. Again, even if it doesn't meet the strict intent, the commissioners can approve both the CETA and the rezoning if you feel like it is correct to do so. Our analysis Again, looking at this, CETA is primarily intended for kind of economic development type projects, so industrial job centers, economic development, those kind of things. A convenience store could be construed to be that, but in our opinion, we think that it would be better to hold on to that CETA. Staff's opinion, it would be better to hold on to that allocation for economic development, but again, the commissioners could see that differently, as the planning board did, and I'll get to that in a second.
Can you go to the previous slide and show where the slide before that? Where would be any additional, that's the big basin over there on where the blue is?
The stormwater management device is located in that southeastern corner. And again, keep in mind that the maximum impervious surface, I believe, is 30%, maybe 24%. I don't have the staff report memorized, but there's a certain percentage, and this is approaching probably 50% impervious. So they're having to request a CETA, and they're having to do the stormwater management, and that pond is shown there. And of course, if this project were to be approved, they would do final engineering and those kind of things. This is conceptual at this point, but the location would remain the same because that's the way the property slopes. In summary, the request would provide fuel and convenience services in the area. The request would require the use of limited CETA bank land that could be used for future economic development within that Abbott's Creek watershed. The request could encourage strip commercial development where comprehensive industrial development is recommended. And the request is inconsistent with the recommendations of Legacy 2030 and the Southeast Forsyth County Area Plan Update. Whenever this went to the planning board at their September 12th hearing, all these things were brought out, and the planning board did agree that this is inconsistent with Legacy and with the area plan. But even in the face of that, they did recommend approval of this to the commissioners by a 7-1 vote. So again, you can find that something is inconsistent and still recommend approval, which is what they did. If the commissioners end up approving that, it essentially modifies the area plan to recognize that this parcel specific for commercial. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
Questions for Chris?
Yes. Thank you. What was the rationale stated by commissioners in support of approval for overriding the plan and the staff recommendations?
I believe that they felt like similar to, I believe it was before, probably right before your time on, I can't remember, but similar to, there was a case that the commissioners heard on Shore Road several years ago, a couple years ago now, I believe, not the most recent one, where they approved a truck stop, again, adjacent to an industrial park with the thought process that that could be goods and services, fueling, et cetera, for the truck traffic that would be in the area. There are some fueling areas within the general vicinity, but the closest place for truck fueling, I believe, is over on Highway 66. So the thought process here would be, even though it's not wholly consistent with the area plan and their belief that it would provide support services for the truck traffic that comes in and out of this area on a daily basis, both with the existing industrial park and the proposed industrial associated with this and future industrial development in that area.
Have we ever had any requests from the existing industrial park for fueling facilities closer?
No.
Thank you.
Mr. Chairman.
Yes.
How far is this? It's just a short distance from where this is to where you get on New 311. Is that right?
Very close.
It is. If we go back to this image here, you see the property identified. Actually, I'll go back to this image. You see the property here outlined in yellow. That is the Union Cross Road, comes in directly from the west. Just north of the outlined parcel in yellow is where Hayes Drive comes into Wahlberg Road. Wahlberg Road is the through movement, but then as those roads come together, it becomes Union Cross. And then if you go just to the east, if you go just to the east along now Union Cross Road, once you pass that intersection, this is I-74 311. This would be the on-ramp to go to the south and east, and this is the off-ramp for folks who would be coming onto Union Cross, and then obviously you go on the other side of that interstate, and you would have the on and off ramps on the other side. So it's literally right at the interstate.
Well, when you have, I don't know about this case, but many cases, or some that we have, there's opposition to in particular if there's residences close by, but when you got a road system like this, then are there better places to put it? You might find a more remote place, but it wouldn't be close to a highway.
It doesn't show up on this plan just because of the scale of the map, but and there's not an easy way to show it, but over here where my mouse is, if you can see where my mouse is off the screen over here, that's where High Point Road comes through and crosses over Union Cross Road. So it would be if you were on the interstate on the, if you got off the interstate onto Union Cross Road, the property between Union Cross Road and High Point Road on that northeast side of the road, there are recommendations for commercial in that area. So it would be our contention that would be the appropriate place to put a convenience store, but it probably isn't large enough for this configuration to handle truck traffic. It's a narrower piece of property. You could get a standard convenience store on there, but probably not one for trucks. And that was our contention, is that there's already a recommendation in this area for a commercial on this interchange, at the interchange with Union Cross and 31174, but again, that was a staff recommendation. I'm here presenting you the planning board recommendation, which was for approval. They heard all the evidence, but felt to the contrary, that this was an appropriate location.
Well, my observation is about these not making a judgment whether that ought to be there or ought not to be there at this time. I guess we will a little bit later, but when planners say we need these new roadways, well, when they get the new roadways in place, then the zoning request comes along behind it, and the belt line is coming around, and I don't know how far they've got now. They're way over there, getting closer probably where you are than they are me, but up on the northeastern side, it's starting to come, and when all this stuff gets in place, it's going to be a request for commercial zoning on almost every one of them as time comes.
And that's what we are trying to get to. Obviously, hopefully within the next month or so, we will be presenting the comprehensive plan Forward 2045 to the commissioners. And if that were to become adopted, our first step is going to be, again, restarting our area plan process. And, I think that we envision kind of that the Beltway corridor is where we're going to start, because that's where we're going to have the most pressure. You're exactly right. But, how can we make recommendations that allow for those kind of things, but also allow for economic development, protection of citizens in the area, et cetera? In this context here, from a staff perspective, our biggest concern is, again, trying to preserve and protect an area that had been identified for economic development. Now, the person who's done most of the economic development in that area is the person who's asking for this to go out there. And again, that they have solid judgment on what they're doing, but our concern is precedent. If this gets approved, do we start chipping away at that economic development area? And again, that was why staff had recommended denial, but again, the planning board saw it differently and did recommend approval.
How many acres is that site?
This is 7.2.
So it is small. It looks bigger, yeah, as it looks bigger.
You said I was right about something. Did you realize that that's recorded? Is that okay with you?
You're right about lots of things.
Not everything, though. That's good for some of them.
Are there any more questions on this? Because if not, I can real quickly. Madam Manager has already introduced the item, so I can quickly, I'm not sure why that's not on anymore. It's throwing me off. Oh, Lord, what did I just do?
Is that up there, 1648? No, 7.
Get out of practice for a couple of weeks and we get what you're doing. There we go. Thank you. This is by the same entity, but a 23.15 acre piece of property located on the east side of Wahlberg Road between Union Cross and Business Park Drive. The request is to rezone from AG and GIS to LIS, and again with another CEDA allocation. This is in the same vicinity, currently GMA 4, but as the sewer goes in, it would become GMA 3. This is a subject property highlighted in yellow, again across from Union Cross Business Park. There is an existing, the Ardagh development is that LIS directly to the south. Of course, that building is so new that it does not show up on our planometrics, or maybe it's just off the screen, because I actually see on this aerial, I see the parking lots just
Bottom, yeah.
just here. Anyway, so this is the property outlined in yellow on the countywide aerial imagery. Again, this was probably 15 years ago or so now at this point, a golf driving range that's been closed for a number of years. It was rezoned, it was zoned GIS for the use rec services outdoor. I believe that was the only use they had, so they are going through the process to rezone this from AG and GIS to LIS. Again, showing the same area. It was commercial recreation, which is what that color on the map represents, but again, it is within that blue area, which says when public sewer is available, that is appropriate for this area to develop for economic development and industrial uses. This is looking east from Business Park Drive. The subject property is across Wahlberg Road. So the vehicles that you see on the road, that is Wahlberg Road. So the subject property is just on the other side of those vehicles across Wahlberg Road. This is looking north along Wahlberg Road. The subject property is to the right. You see that zoning sign across the lanes of traffic. This is looking south along Wahlberg Road. The subject property is to the left. You see Ardagh there in the background. This is the site plan. Again, they are requesting special intense development allocation based on the amount of impervious surface that they are planning. You do see streams there located to the east. You see their stormwater management pond. You do see a public road that is shown to align with Business Park Drive. The thought process would be there's actually a note that you see pointing to the easternmost portion of that public road. It's going to be built to a certain point and then they're going to stop, but they would envision this road going further to the east towards Hastings Road to again accommodate additional industrial and economic development projects across that creek into the south, the east, south, and southeast. The CEDA findings, again, we did analyze this. I'm not going to read all of this, but again, looking at this, this truly does foot the bill, meet what the CEDA allocation was for, key economic development projects, job centers, those types of things. In summary, the request is consistent, in this case, with the recommendations of Legacy 2030 and the Southeast Forsyth County Area Plan Update. The request does have excellent transportation access to I-74. The project will provide approximately $30 million of investment and would create an estimated 250 jobs for the community. This, again, was heard by the Planning Board at their September 12, 2024 public hearing, and in this case, there were no speakers in opposition, and they did find both to recommend approval to the elected body and also that this plan does meet both Legacy and the area plan. And with that, I'll be glad to answer any questions.
So in calculating the rough estimate on the number of jobs, what kind of size building are you thinking about putting up? I mean,
I want to say,
unfortunately,
I can't read those numbers on there because they're so small, but I want to say it was 300 to 350,000 square foot this building was.
Or $200,000, or 200 square foot, 100,000 square foot building, or whatever. get there.
Yeah, like I said, I'm not exactly sure, but my recollection is
Multiple
300.
sites,
But
yeah, got a big one. That'd be a big one. That'd be good.
in contrast, Ardall is about 650 to 700,000 square feet. So it would be half of that size, but that is from one corner to the other is over a quarter mile under roof. So
Like something like 12 to 14 football fields would fit
it's
inside.
huge.
It's huge. Yeah, that's interesting. So talk a little bit about the CETA part, and that'll be it for me. The CETA part, you talk about these portions, is that a limited amount for how does that work?
Had to get some confirmation from our watershed experts in erosion control, because they actually handle watershed administration for both the city and the county. It basically, whenever the watershed is established under the state model ordinance, I'm going to use round numbers. If you've got 1,000 acres, well, let's say 10,000 acres because that's better math. If you've got 10,000 acres in a watershed, depending on the type of watershed it is, you have certain thresholds that you have to stay under within a water supply watershed. And generally for this type of watershed, I want to say it's 30 or 36%. It could be 24, but again, it's relatively low compared to what you can do if you're not in a watershed. Under the CETA provisions, under the state model ordinance and what you have adopted in your ordinance, 10%, up to 10% of your watershed, you can develop more intense than that. And you have a bank. So taking that 10,000 acre example, you would have 1,000 acres in that watershed to grant someone the ability to go above that up to a maximum of 70%. When the commissioners originally adopted these rules, 80s, 90s, I'd have to go back and look. Again, let's say that it was a 10,000 acre watershed and you had 1,000 in the bank. You put 500 in your checking account, which you could spend, and you put 500 in your savings account. So you haven't spent everything in your checking account, so you still have reserve. So under this example, you put 500 in your checking and 500 in the savings. This would take whatever the acreage of this parcel is, that's how we do it, it's 23 point whatever acres, that takes that out of your checking account, but you've still got a lot of money in your savings account. So that's kind of a rudimentary example of how that works. You've got plenty of acreage in your checking account, and you've got more held in reserve, but that's...
It's based on the acreage of the
It's based on the
watershed.
acreage of development. So like for the Ardall site...
Development or acreage of the water, kind of a big, I'm thinking watershed's a bigger thing. Like
Well, the watershed, again, is big. So let's say, you've got 10,000 acres, and you've got 1,000 in a CETA bank. For like the Ardall example, let's say that acreage was 72 acres, even though they probably didn't develop all 72 of those acres because they can't. The whole parcel comes out of your CETA bank. So in that example, 72 acres would have come out of your 1,000, and so now you've got 928 left to spend. And that's how it works.
Okay. I got it. All right. Other questions for Chris?
The remaining agenda items we will fully brief next week, but I'll introduce them. We have 4 special resolutions. Agenda item number 3 is a resolution designating new review officers to review and certify maps and plats for Forsyth County in accordance with General Statute 47-30.2. Agenda item number 4 is a resolution supporting Operation Greenlight for veterans in Forsyth County. Agenda item number 5 is a resolution recognizing November 20th as the 25th anniversary of International GIS Day. Agenda item number 6 is a resolution adopting the county boundary between Forsyth County and Guilford County as surveyed by the North Carolina Geodetic Survey. Then we have our meeting minutes. Agenda item number 8 is a resolution authorizing spending for 2023 PAYGO projects for Parks and Rec, General Services, the library, and the animal shelter in an associated capital projects ordinance. Agenda item number 9 is a resolution authorizing execution of a grant agreement for a North Carolina Department of Natural and Cultural Resources grant for the America 250 project and an associated budget ordinance. Agenda item number 10 is an amendment to the 25 budget ordinance to appropriate a U.S. Environmental Protection Agency grant for air monitoring and air quality sensors for Forsyth County. Agenda item number 11 is a resolution authorizing submission of an application to the North Carolina Department of Transportation, Division of Aviation, to apply for and accept, if awarded, an advanced air mobility planning grant. Agenda item number 12 is a resolution approving the purchase of suspect vehicle tracking tag system and services under an exception to the bidding laws codified in General Statute 143-129E6 and awarding a contract to Star Chase and an associated budget ordinance. Agenda item number 13 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement with Daymark Recovery Services. Agenda item number 14 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Partners Health Management. Number 15 is a resolution authorizing execution of an agreement with Orchard Software Corporation to provide laboratory information software for the Department of Public Health. And 16 is a resolution authorizing execution of an amendment to the agreement with WC Construction Company for the airport car wash project and associated budget ordinances and a capital projects ordinance. And number 17 is refunds by the tax assessor and collector. That is all of our agenda items, Mr. Chair.
Righty. No further business, we are ready to go.
I just have one quick
Yes.
question, Madam Manager. I do have a question relative to the application period for the community grants opportunities and when that is going to open and will it close?
Thank you, Commissioner McDaniel. So it opened on October 14th and it will close on November 18th. It is currently on our website. It also was posted on our social media page. And so individuals can go on and apply through that mechanism.
Yeah, thank you. I saw it on one of our Winston-Salem Transit Authority buses, so thank you. Great.
You're welcome.
Any other discussions? All right, stand adjourned.